Okay, I feel like we've been talking about this on the podcast a lot recently. I feel like there's something special happening with vinyl. I know that's an understatement. I know it's been happening since the early 2000s. And for a lot of people, it never left. But I think it was Terry at Coal Mine that said he doesn't think we've seen a ceiling yet especially at retail. I feel like the growth is compounding. Taylor is making and selling incredible amounts of vinyl, and no doubt creating new customers as well. Talk to me about the current state and the future state of vinyl. I honestly think, and this is my prediction. I think that it's going to become mainstream in the same way that CDs were. I see it moving more out of that niche collector audiophile and just becoming the norm. Maybe I'm biased because I want that to happen, but what do you think about the future and the current state and then the future of vinyl?
Sure. Well, me too. I hope it continues making this upward trajectory and migration towards a wider range of consumers embracing the format full stop. I do think that certainly as more mainstream artists are promoting their releases and the wider public sees this publicity occurring, that they are going to stores. I mean, obviously, this past Saturday was Record Store Day here in the U.S., and I definitely checked out a few stores, and there was a lot of, I would say, casual music purchasers in addition to your hardcore collector aspect frequenting the various stores that I went to. So yeah, to answer your question, I think the future is really quite bright, and I think it's up to all the people that are the record labels, the artists, folks like ourselves to continue making progress to making the product as flawless, special, unique, interesting as possible to continue stoking this fan engagement.
Yeah, and you're right to notice the customer base at Record Store Day, and I observe them as well, especially the age range. You know, there's people who are getting into vinyl and buying records now that weren't even necessarily alive when the Renaissance started up in the early 2000s back again, and I find that so encouraging. And not just Record Store Day too. We talked about this when I was talking with Larry about Record Store Day last year, and not just Record Store Day, but just any given Saturday or Sunday in any record store in North America. There's people there, and I was at a record store recently that was in a warehouse in an industrial part of town that was really hard to find. And then I go in, and there's a dozen people there on a late Sunday afternoon shopping. So very, very encouraging.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, there's, I don't know if we're going to touch on it later, but certainly in addition to the record store ecosystem, the new ways that people are consuming, purchasing records direct to consumers, and really artists directly messaging and appealing to their fan bases is certainly a new and exciting frontier that I think has a lot of legs.
Completely agree. What we're talking about, and this is something I've been preaching recently, I think that labels of all sizes need to be respecting the album more and putting more thought, as you mentioned, into the artwork and making something physical, something worth collecting. This is something that you guys do, I know, with, taking chances and doing something more bespoke, but making something that's worth collecting, worth coveting. You must agree that there's a level of creativity and product development that should happen beyond just the music.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the music comes first, and I think for this format to continue, people need to spend a little money. They need to put the time to putting together a decent system so they can really appreciate the sonic qualities of vinyl. But beyond that, it's all about the packaging. And that can be your super uber deluxe package, of which A to Z is regularly sort of engaged with our clients on. But equally, it doesn't have to be crazy fancy. It really can be just really good artwork, really having a clear, concise vision of the packaging, great photography, great illustration. But then, yeah, finding unique ways to differentiate your product in the marketplace in a unique, appealing way. Again, what does the artist want to say to their fans, and how do you kind of reconcile those two sort of desires from a budgetary standpoint, from a conceptual standpoint? That's what we do, and I think, to your point, that's what record labels are actively engaged in trying to discover right now, to keep this format growing, exciting, and finding new ways to continue putting out music.
Well, I've said I don't think that, vinyl isn't necessary. You and I would probably disagree with that, but it really no longer is the vehicle for music. I mean, we can get music elsewhere. So it is a luxury item.
Sure.
And so it does bother me when I see labels not putting in the effort and just doing the bare minimum. And I don't blame them. I've done the same thing, because it's usually cost, right? You get your quotes and you cut back. Is there mistakes? What are you seeing labels doing wrong, or independent artists with their vinyl? What missed opportunities are you seeing?
I mean, I don't know if there are mistakes. Again, I think you need to really appeal to the realities of whatever a given release is. And if you don't have a release that's going to sell X amount of units, or the budget is just not there to put those bells and whistles towards that release, you need to be creative about how you're ultimately manufacturing that title. Again, I go back to, and I said this for years, even before this vinyl revival, when it was all about CDs. It costs us and any other printer the same amount of money to print your cover, whether you have a cool image or you got a crappy image.
It's so true.
You might as well spend a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, and actually just come up with a great package design. That costs the same amount of money to a certain extent. But more specifically, labels, different colors, hand numbering, maybe putting an insert into certain, more deluxe version of a record. So there's a numerous, and I'm happy to discuss this in greater detail, but there's numerous ways that a label, a band can really differentiate their release, and even amongst that release, into different variants, different segments, to appeal to different ends of that sort of spectrum, from the hardcore fan that wants every piece of unique items to go in that package, to the more casual. Maybe they just want a colored record. Maybe they want a hand number. Maybe they want a flexi included. There's a variety of ways of really making your project special.
Do you see success in that tiered approach? Because I think it was maybe Coal Mine, and it's fresh in my mind, and it was one of our most popular episodes because it was all about vinyl.
Great people.
Yeah, great. I think we were going back and forth a little bit, arguing about, offering different tiers. I'm of the position that everything from digital to even deluxe digital, and then black vinyl, and then, as you mentioned, colored, then hand numbered. Do you see a success if a label or an artist offers 4 or 5 different packages?
To a certain extent, I think it can potentially confuse the marketplace if there's not so much differentiation between those variants. But I think, again, it depends on the release. You have your very large mainstream artists, they can probably get away with 5, 6 different variants for different retailers, tour exclusive. But to our core customers, to the indie labels, I think sticking with a few variants, maybe getting an exclusive retail exclusive color is always a great thing. Maybe sticking an insert in there. But yeah, I don't see it as a huge negative to have that more deluxe package to supplement your standardized release.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I think there is a tipping point where it becomes the paradox of choice, and somebody leaves your Bandcamp page because there's too many options.
For sure. Absolutely.
That's definitely true. Is there, I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you've probably worked on a million projects, but are there projects or are there approaches that that you recall that you thought were done exceptionally well? Is there even just an overall strategy? I mean, you've mentioned 20, 30 different features, but anything that pops to mind that really excites you as a music fan or as a creator?
It depends on the genre. I think a lot
Hmm.
of certainly a lot of the metal labels we work with do a great job
Right.
of really stoking their fan bases with many different colors. We are doing now separate covers for releases. I find
Wow.
that so even if the vinyl is the same, we just worked on a really great project where there was separate covers. We just did a Barbie special edition
Oh,
where
cool.
there's a Barbie version and there's a Ken
Of
version.
course.
And you know, it's a lot of the same content, but from an aesthetic standpoint, night and day.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff. I love stuff where our clients are coming in and challenging us to find a solution to what the goal, what the desire is from the top down, from the artist, from the label management, and really executing and conceptualizing and really delivering a flawless product. That to us is what excites us. And truthfully, it's very difficult to spotlight one particular release over another. We've been doing this for a long time and work on many,
Of
many
course.
projects.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but
No,
like
I get it.
constantly on a day-to-day basis, our clients are really, they challenge us in a great way.
That's awesome. You have alluded to genre, the impact of
Yes,
genre,
for
a
sure.
couple of times, and I think I agree with you, and it's something we don't really think about. So there might be some people in different genres who are copying what people in jazz or what people in, the numero group or reissue group are doing. So what type of research should a label be doing in their genre to know what the customers are? Are you seeing a vast difference between metal, punk, jazz, etc.?
I definitely think some of the metal, hip hop genres are much more likely to do numerous variants than maybe a jazz,
Okay.
which is a little more of a traditional. Again, it depends on the release. I don't want to make a gross generalization, but I think it depends. I think sometimes, to your point, your question, maybe labels that are not in that immediate genre are looking at labels of differing genres and saying, hey, what's so and so doing that maybe I can introduce into
Mm.
my community? So maybe it is looking at a reissue focused label and saying, you know what, how do I approach this for my new release? Is it more extensive liner notes? Is it working with certain mastering or remastering engineers? Is it putting some sort of a package? Is it a case wrap jacket? Is it, are we putting a lithograph in here? Are we taking maybe some of the touches from some of the more
From
prestige
other
jazz labels and introducing them to their particular genre?
That's a great point. That's a great point. I would think to emulate my peers, but to actually maybe step outside of my comfort zone. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. I know a lot
Because
of people are,
otherwise, every release that you're putting is going to look the same because you're not
that's right.
drawing inspiration from other avenues.
I was just talking to someone last night who said that to get some inspiration after listening to a recent vinyl episode we did, to actually just go to the record store and flip through things in any category and see what inspires
I
you.
I would actually take it a step further, and I would say some of our more adventurous, I would say cutting edge clients are not only looking at record labels as inspiration, they're looking at art publishing houses, they're going
Mm.
to museums, they're looking at university presses, and they're finding things in advertising that they're seeing. They're really combing the popular landscape, pop culture landscape, and then really bringing that to bear for their particular product line.
Wow,
And
that's
and 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 I would add, they're expanding beyond just music. And this is
Mm.
what we've seen tremendous growth in the non-traditional music parts of how labels are extending. I'm sure you want to talk
I want to
about
get
that
there. I
more.
want to get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Let me get there. But I want to first ask you, and that's by the way, let's pause for a second, let the listeners digest that, because not only are they going to record stores, that's obvious, but as you said, I personally go to bookstores or like home decor stores, and I love the coffee table books, the really high-end coffee table books. That's very in line with people who buy vinyl, and so drawing inspiration from that. So that is a very, very good tip to give our listeners. I want to ask you though, I was just speaking with someone last night who has a fantastic album. The music is unreal, the opportunity is unreal, and he has very gorgeous photographs, very well taken photographs. But that's the limit of what he knows now. He doesn't really know where to take that when it comes to releasing that on record. I've encouraged him to make sure he does make an absolutely stunning project. But in his position, if you don't have a design background, which I think a lot of our record labels don't have, if you don't have a product development background, you don't even think to go to a bookstore or a record store. What do you do in that situation if if all of us are telling you to make a great record package? What do you do? Like, is that something a pressing plant helps with? Would you recommend paying for a great designer? What do I do at that point if I don't have any background?
So I would recommend really looking into your network of contacts, and
Mm-hmm.
and equally, I would say, just like we're talking about here, go into the bookshop, go into the record shop, identify packages that you like, do a little research, find out, oh, so and so did the graphic design. Oh, that came out on so and so record label. Oh, or that publishing house. Oh, it was printed here. Do a little research. Put a little time, and it will pay off.
Mm.
But really, use your network. I found certainly labels are a community, right? This is a big community. There's a lot of commonality, a lot of intersectionality of mutual beneficiaries of working together. Pick up the call. And certainly, I look at how we picked up so many clients. It's been referrals because so and so has said contact us, or vice versa. Equally, we know of great designers. So I don't know if the manufacturing partner at A to Z is necessarily, we have design in house.
Mm.
But equally, I feel like that's a very creative process that somebody should really focus on their own time, interview lots of people, and get a feel for whose work you really like, to then decide who you want to work with.
So a lot of it you're suggesting happens before you contact the plant?
I think it's a mixture. I think we are. I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
And certainly for purposes of this discussion, A to Z is not the plant, right? A to Z is not a plant. So we have certainly a different perspective in all this. We want to partner with our clients. We want to ideate with our clients. We are fabulous, hopefully, to begin the conversation when you know that there's a project. And we encourage people to come into our offices, or we go to many trade shows or many different industry events to further those relationships and those connections. And once you get into the weeds of a new project, it's all about drawing inspiration, as we're talking about, from other projects, various finishes, stocks, things like this. We are really collaborative in that regard. From a purely aesthetic, creative direction, we have folks on staff that are versed in that. I would not say that is our strong suit. We've partnered for years with really leading art direction, creative design, graphic designers, photographers, studios in that regard. That's what they do. And I think if you want to wind up with a great package, I think you need to be clear about what everyone's true speciality in the process is, and form your own team. Form that team of experts that are going to ultimately deliver what they're best at to give to you, so that your final package is as great as it can be.
Wow, that's a great point. I also wanted to highlight for our listeners something that you mentioned, that finding the designers who worked on the projects that you are inspired by or that you have in
For
your
sure.
record collection is really not hard to find. Like you mentioned, in the liner notes and even in the books in the bookstores, it'll say the designer. And all of those designers are self-promoting on Instagram. They're not hard to find. And they're for a lot of them, with some exceptions, they're always available to hire. It's just depending on how much they charge. But
Or yeah, and equally they might say, you know what, I'm a little busy, but there's so and so who's also great. You should talk to. You know, I
who's maybe
mean,
more affordable, more approachable.
yeah, exactly. Or
Yeah,
maybe they live nearby, or
yeah,
whatever
for
the
sure.
case may be. I think
Yeah.
there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
I'm intrigued about this book thing. I'm like I mentioned, I'm a huge book fan. I laughed at the death of the books when the e-reader came along. I knew it would never happen, and I love coffee table books. I love a good book as much as I love a good record. You guys
Yeah.
are getting involved in books. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing, that cross section of music, record labels, and books. And I mean, I think that publishing side of things is pretty intimidating for a lot of us. We're just figuring out how to make vinyl. So what opportunities are there in the book side of things, in the printed paper component side of things for record labels and artists?
Sure. So we're seeing many of our labels forming distinct, separate divisions that are focused on printing books, books of all sorts, not necessarily music-focused books. They really can. So it's not like they're just putting out photos of bands as coffee table. There's some of that. There's some lyric books. There's
Sure.
for journals. There's all that, but there's equally, we have labels that are starting to put out fiction, that are putting out nonfiction, cookbooks. It really spans the gamut, and I think it's curiosity. I think to start a record label or a publishing company, there has to be, I believe, an innate sense of curiosity on the part of the label owner to want to discover and put forth material, music, publishing, film, whatever the case, that they feel is being sort of unrecognized at the moment. And how do you actually bring it forth and hope that other people discover it and appreciate it? So we're seeing that with the labels, that there's definitely an appetite for developing non-music related revenue and just a separate energy. And the book printing is a natural outgrowth. We also see the publishing industry, the indie publishing industry, as being a very complementary business to indie labels. And for us, as we have really extensive experience in customer service, logistics, project management, and deluxe printing, we have the apparatus to serve those customers, to serve that market. And so we do believe it's a very natural complementary extension of our business and also our core clients, the indie record labels sort of businesses as well. To think about it, it's not for everybody, but
Sure.
certainly I think people would be very surprised at the reception to releasing books, the ability to market to your existing fan base, and your ability to open up new territories and new markets that may in turn feed and grow your record label business.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point. And I mean, the word complementary, they're cousin products.
Absolutely.
It makes a ton of sense. And I think they're both luxury items. They're both mini luxury items, not like a sports car, but they're both like just nice things to treat yourself to. And so it would be very obvious that if you have an email list of people who like to buy vinyl, that a good portion of them would be interested in a book. I guess it's the idea. It's interesting that you say that people are, because I think a lot of our, simplified minds here would be thinking lyrics, music, photos of the bands, discographies, but that might be the wrong way to think, as you're mentioning.
I mean, look, I don't want to lead anyone astray. There's definitely a very viable product line of books based on that. I mean, and we've done our share of really great lyric books,
Sure.
or journals, band remembrances, a lot of genre specific photo, historical photo,
Right.
book albums. But I'm saying if you're asking me what we're seeing, we're also seeing people doing things that are completely unrelated to the core music of what those labels might be known for.
Yeah. And one thing we always talk about is the idea that the label owner is the curator and that people come to you for your taste. And so if you believe in this comedy book or this cookbook in the same way you believed in the artist that you signed to your label, then hopefully your following will agree.
100%. Completely agree. Absolutely.
Well, that's very interesting. Talk to me a little bit about, I'm intimidated by books. I feel like, how does the investment compare to vinyl? Assuming we have the artwork taken care of, that's something that happens on our side, where somebody who does the layout for us. But if
Sure.
we can take care of that side of things, what is the type of investment? What's the ideal quantities? Is this a lot where the labels are selling just directly to fans? And tell me a little bit about what would we be looking at to get into that?
Sure. I mean, it's very similar to vinyl or any other physical media product. Every project, to a certain extent, is different. What is the quantity going to be? What is the size? What's the page count? What sort of paper do you want to use? What sort of cover treatment do you want to use? Is there any particular, is it going into a slip case? Is there a die cut? So there's really a number of variables, and that's true for vinyl as well. It's very difficult for us to say, here's your price, or because
Sure.
Literally almost every one of our projects has some unique component that differentiates it in some regard. And that's, again, what we believe is interesting and great about vinyl. Same holds true for books. But to answer your question, you can start really small. You can run 250 books. You can run 500 books. You can sell them direct to consumer. We have some great customers that really do not have the traditional book distribution arrangement. They've had them in the past. They don't want to go there. They want to keep it modest. They want to keep it sustainable. They don't want to, start playing that distribution game. And because I think so many people are embracing the D2C model across all product categories, books fit very naturally into that. So I would say start small, start modest. Don't swing for the fences on your first project. You can always do a reprint. You can always, come back and maybe say, okay, you know what? This was a proof of concept. We sold out of our first run. Now we really want to amplify either the existing title or our next title. We're going to maybe start with a hardcover. We're going to sell out of that hardcover, and then we're going to move to a paperback edition. We see a lot of people sort of with that dual-pronged approach to again, just like vinyl, those different segments of the fan base.
Totally. I love the idea as well about the impact that a book would have on your merch table for touring artists, because if people don't buy vinyl, they'll buy a t-shirt. If they don't want a t-shirt, they maybe will just take home a CD just to show their support. There would be a segment of your audience who would go, oh, a book of poetry. I'm way more interested in that than buying a t-shirt. So
Absolutely.
The merch table I think is a good application.
As long as it's not too heavy, I would say.
Yeah, that's right. For the whole show.
For bands that are traveling.
Yeah.
You certainly, that needs to be a little bit of a consideration. But to your point, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's like, how do you make your merch table more interesting? How do you show a diversity and a range that, again, differentiates you from everyone else?
Yeah. That's. I mean, we've never even really gotten into that on the show, but that's a really interesting thing. Speaking of branching out, what about
Yeah.
other paper products? Are there other things outside of books, posters, or anything that you've seen successful?
I mean, there's companies that do lithographic prints that are
Yeah.
selling, and
Yeah.
I think there is opportunity
Okay.
to start selling a higher quality poster, insert, signed, silk screened.
Hmm.
Really, what you see in live music, you see a lot of bands selling at shows. Venue date
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
I think there's the opportunity to do that with releases.
Mm.
Again, D2C, things that you wouldn't really be able to do through traditional retail. Although we do see some releases that include a poster per se, if you purchase it at a certain retailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, we can print anything on any sort of substrate. You want to put rolling papers into a release? We can put rolling papers into a release. We
Yeah.
again, we really, you want to put a flexi on a postcard? We can put that into a
Yeah.
release.
Yeah.
There's really no shortage of things that you could include. It's again, what is right for your release? What's in your budget? What does the band, what does the artist want? What is the market telling you? Is the
Mm.
market saying this would be an appropriate release to put some rolling papers in this release, or that makes no sense? Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't really jive with this particular project.
Well, yeah, no, that's interesting. I love I don't see it very much. I might do it coming up, but I love seeing the posters in records,
Sure.
especially the folded posters, even though I know that destroys the poster, but it actually is kind of nostalgic. You know, the original Milton, the Bob Dylan one,
Yeah.
and the folded marks are actually add to the value of the poster. And
Yeah.
I love seeing those.
If that's what you're asking, yeah, we do tons of
Mm.
inserts, posters. We've done iron-ons, so people could, iron on the band's decal or logo onto a shirt after. We've done temporary tattoos
And you're
that
putting them in the records?
absolutely, because
Yeah.
they're flat, they're small, they're
Yeah.
inexpensive. And again, going back to your original question, that's a cool little thing to stick into your package, a temporary tattoo or an iron on or a sticker or some
Yeah.
sort of a poster or an insert for that artist, for that release. It makes it special. It further differentiates the digital release. It further makes the physical media object to worth it
Yeah.
because it is a luxury item. It's an attainable luxury item,
Attainable for
but
sure.
it's a luxury item nonetheless. So why not, when you go and buy an expensive, I don't know, a piece of electronics, Apple, they still include a sticker in
The
all
sticker.
their, why? Because it's just a little something.
And the way you open the cardboard box, it has a suction seal to it. It's a fun
Absolutely.
experience.
It's the
Yeah.
experience. Yes.
I think this is an obligation for labels to elevate the experience. You know, these tattoos, these stickers. I'll be honest. I think that the tastes and the expectations of the music fans are increasing. We're moving the goalposts, and I think that when I open a record, God forbid if I buy it from Amazon and it comes and it's just the record, I feel disappointed. I kind of,
Yep.
as opposed to ordering from an indie label and they've thrown in a 7-inch of an artist I've never heard of or a sticker or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Always order direct from the labels. You're going to normally get rewarded. And frankly, the label makes more money and it's
for
better
sure.
for our indie ecosystem
For sure.
to,
Yeah.
to order from the labels. But yeah, those are all definite things that you can include. I would take it another step further and beyond actually printing or including things. We have a number of labels that put a tremendous effort into the unboxing of their products. And they
Mm.
do a great job of making videos and photos and making them really a fun experience to unbox these packages. And I would encourage a lot of labels to think along those lines. Is be creative with this. Be fun. Be like silly. Like make it like a fun little experience to film your new record that's come in and unboxing it and putting it in maybe situations that you wouldn't or areas that you wouldn't expect to see the record.
Well, and what you're talking about is social media content. You're talking about free promotion, and it's literally free. I mean, some of the stuff we're talking about, posters, stickers, tattoos, those are not free things, but
absolutely.
The unboxing video, the band opening the shrink wrap or opening the box, I see bands do this, opening the box from the manufacturing plant for the very first time. That's exciting content, and it's free.
Or the test press. We have a lot of clients we have a lot of clients that tag us on the test press. So these are obvious ways for the social media engagement.
I had a record from an indie label or a cassette, and it was they included a handwritten note that said, "Hey Scott, thanks for your support." That was it. And I mean, that was massive. And how much did that cost them? You know what I mean? That was absolutely massive for such a small thing. There's so many missed opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about vinyl is getting all the attention. It's the hot topic for now and for whoever knows how long. But there is still something, these CDs and these tapes refuse to go away, and there's subcultures around tapes. I am very happy to see them continue to grow. I personally don't feel like they've grown as fast as I would have liked them to. I don't know if they've plateaued from your experience. And then CDs, there's just this very, very stubborn format. And there's a new article every month about how they are swinging back, especially as younger people maybe can't afford vinyl. So thoughts on CDs and tapes in the future and the application for artists and labels?
Yeah, at A to Z, we love CDs and we love tapes, and we are still manufacturing both of those formats every single day. The roots of A to Z are with CD manufacturing.
Sure.
We didn't even mess with vinyl manufacturing. We did vinyl printing, packaging for many, many years, but really CDs are what started and sustained this business. And to a certain extent, we still have a very healthy CD business. What we have seen is, in a way, mirroring what started with the vinyl revival 15 years ago. Something. Whenever we can agree that this new revival of vinyl started 15-ish years ago. And that is a commitment and focus on packaging for CDs to reward the consumers that are still purchasing CDs. So we do a lot of CD books. We do a lot of slip cases. We do a lot of great, die cuts. Just a quality product to continue the viability of the CD format. And I believe there is a future for CDs. It's clearly receding year over year, but there will be a hardcore contingent of people that will still continue supporting the CD format. And I think it'll be very similar, where people are going to ultimately lament and regret that they got rid of their CDs. And because there's a lot of CDs that are now out of print, that are not being manufactured for many years. And when those CDs are gone, they're gone, frankly. And a lot of that stuff, I would add, is also, it's not on any streaming services. Nor has it been some of it, and a lot of it also hasn't been reissued on vinyl yet.
That's a very good point.
It's just like what's happened in movies. We still manufacture DVDs and Blu-rays and VHS as well, and we know that there's titles that are not on any of the streaming services.
Oh, for sure.
And there is a huge market for that legacy media.
Yeah. So I'm always confused with CDs, because I grew up in high school. CDs were dominant, and so I'm somewhat nostalgic for them a little bit. But I'm curious then, who do you think will be? What is the demographic, or maybe it's a multiple groups of people that will be driving the future of them? Because I'm hearing two stories. I'm hearing the 40s and 50-year-olds who just never got into streaming and
Yeah.
always hung on to their CDs. And then I'm hearing that it's younger people who have no association with this format and just think it's interesting and cheaper than vinyl.
Well, it is cheaper than vinyl, and to a certain extent, it's certainly easier to immediately hear
Hmm.
the tangible rewards of CD. You don't need to invest in a massive sound system. It sounds loud, clear, pristine. You
True.
don't need to really put that level of care that you do with vinyl, which again is part of the vinyl process, and it's a process that people enjoy. I think there's a resurgence of '90s culture right now with
Very
the
true.
youth, and so there is that nostalgic look back at some of our technology, and CDs clearly fall in line with that. They're also a lot more portable
Hmm.
than vinyl. So if kids are going to be moving multiple times, it's a lot easier for them to have a collection of CDs than it is perhaps for them to be schlepping a crate worth of vinyl repeatedly to different locations.
I always feel like the growth of CDs and tapes have been limited by the players and especially for cassettes. And though we do have a great cassette player that's on the market now, it's a little bit pricey. I know that there's some Japanese Kickstarter companies that are making cool, elegant looking CD players. Obviously, vinyl saw Target pick up the Crosleys and the Victrolas, and so any word on the kind of the hardware support of these formats?
From a new hardware standpoint, I'm not aware of a
Mm,
tremendous amount of effort. I'm sure on a very high end audiophile level,
yeah.
you would find people. I will say here we actually just purchased a restored little Sanyo Japanese spec boombox for the office here, and it's really kind of cute, and
Yeah.
it sounds great. So I would say that again, we're seeing people recognize that you need some hardware to play all these new cassettes or CDs. There is certainly a secondary market of refurbishers and repackagers that are finding these vintage players, restoring them, and selling them for a fair price. And really helping people tap into that nostalgic feeling
Mm.
that they're going for.
Well, and you're right. I think especially with CDs, it's easier to find working CD players at yard sales, thrift stores. Cassettes, it gets a little harder. And I think the
It does.
mechanics too is less reliable.
So far, so good with the one we got.
Good. That's good. Yeah. Well, I have a couple of players. I do have a CD player kicking around somewhere, but all the ones in my cars have broke. But yeah, I'm reluctant on the CD because I don't know, maybe. But I did really enjoy that format when I was young. I'm with you though. Completely agree. It is inevitable that it'll come back around. I bet you that we're going to live to see a MP3 resurgence as well. So
Yes.
last question. Tell me a little bit about A to Z, the history there. I think you're 30 years. Is that right?
That's right. This past Saturday, actually, 420, which was
Wow.
Record Store Day,
Wow.
was
How
the
meaningful.
30th year since A to Z was incorporated. And we
Incredible.
are still 100% female owned, 100% independent. We have never received any funding. It's all organic growth that is really directly tied to the continued support of the independent music community.
Mm,
So yeah, we've continued growing, we've continued expanding into new markets, but we've never forgot the core customer base, our core products, and the core philosophy. That core philosophy is we're only as good as our last job, which means we take every single order, every single job that comes into us extremely seriously, top down,
mm.
and we really bring that sort of a hustle and that ethos to every project. At least we try to every single project that comes in the door.
That's incredible. I've been a music buyer for those entire 30 years that you guys have been around. I've been a music collector, and I've been a musician and making music. There have been incredible ebbs and flows and ups and downs and potential deaths of the CD, and then piracy was, such a big thing. And then the vinyl resurgence whenever that did happen. How do those changes, how does that history inform how you operate today, and perhaps how we as proprietors of music should operate?
You got to have other plans. You need to continue your path for growth. You need to find ways of sustaining the business. You need to lean on great customers. You need to hear what the market is saying, and you need to be responsive. You cannot be complacent when we go through these moments of change. As I say, we were very resistant for many years to even get involved in vinyl. The landscape was very fragmented. There were not necessarily a great host of manufacturing partners out there. And we didn't want to tarnish our reputation, quite frankly, by wading into an industry that really was not very reliable. But it really took seeing that vinyl was here to stay. I'm talking 15 years or so ago. It's here to stay. We better embrace it. We better be willing to really put our arms around it, find our supply chain, find our partners, and embrace that format. Because if we didn't, we would not be in business today. I mean, there was many, the era you're talking about, there were many similar companies like A to Z from the early to mid 90s that were really only involved with CDs. From a much more transactional standpoint, those people are essentially by and large gone. They did not embrace vinyl quick enough. They never embraced partnering with labels to become their production resources and to say yes. I mean, one of the secrets to A to Z is we say yes. We find a way to really execute what our clients are asking for. And that's, to your point, that's ebbed and flowed to different requests, different product lines. You want to make a book? Yes. You want to make a box set? Yes. You want to do 5 different variant colors and deliver in 5 territories? Yes. I mean, that's the attitude we have. That's the confidence we have, and we back it up. And as I say, we're only as good as our last job. We have to back that up every single project, every single order, to continue proving ourselves. But it's also, as we began the conversation, we're saying label owners have curiosity to take their companies into new directions, whether it be publishing, merchandise, direct-to-consumer fulfillment. A to Z equally has that curiosity from the management down to explore new areas, to explore new territories, and to continue the path to sustainability, to growth, and to hopefully make it another 30 years.
Incredible. Scott, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us. There's some real great takeaways in here that people hopefully were taking notes on. I also think it's important that we have more Scotts on the podcast. So thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.